The champagne flutes sparkled beneath the ballroom lights. Polished silverware clicked softly against porcelain. Around me, clients buzzed, shaking hands, laughing politely, sipping wine far too expensive for their actual enthusiasm. I should have been proud. I'd just closed our highest quarterly sales in the company's history. 85% of the revenue on that massive screen projected at the front of the gala had come from deals I brought in, contracts I negotiated, relationships I built from the ground up. So why did my gut feel like it was sinking? Because my name, Angela Rowe, hadn't been mentioned once during the CEO's speech, not when he rattled off revenue figures, not when he thanked the amazing sales team, and certainly not when he introduced her. "This is a new face we're excited to welcome," he'd said, placing a hand on the shoulder of a woman in a sequined dress too short for the occasion. "My niece, Claire Madison. She'll be stepping into a new leadership role for the next phase of client engagement." A wave of murmurs rolled through the room. Claire smiled, all dimples and glitter, and gave a little wave like she was on a pageant stage. I was still holding my wine glass when my boss, Victor Lang, walked up to me with that smug half grin I'd grown to despise. "Hope you're enjoying the night," he said. "You've really carried us this quarter." "Carried you," I corrected under my breath. He either didn't hear or chose not to. "Let's chat Monday," he added. "I've got some ideas about shifting roles. Big things coming." My throat tightened. "Shifting roles?" He clinked his glass against mine. "You'll see. You'll love it." He walked off before I could reply. I watched Claire loop her arm through his and disappear into the crowd like she already belonged there. She didn't. She hadn't worked a single account. She hadn't pulled late nights running projections or flown cross-country twice in a week to salvage a client relationship. She hadn't pitched, followed up, renegotiated, closed. But she had something I didn't. A last name that matched the one on our office's glass door. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every win I'd had over the past 3 years. The promotions I earned, the clients I saved, the bonuses that had padded the company's bottom line more than my own. And I realized something chilling. They never planned to let me rise beyond a certain ceiling. They were happy to use my skills, my contacts, my fire, but they'd never give me the seat I deserved at the table, especially not when there was a family member to hand it to. On Monday, I walked into the office early, sat at my desk, opened my email. There it was. Subject: Sales Realignment Strategy, from Victor Lang. No mention of my name in the body. Just a vague paragraph about reshaping client portfolios and delegating leadership to newly appointed team members. I scrolled down. Claire's name was listed as Director of Strategic Accounts. My accounts, my clients, my work. She hadn't even started orientation. I stood up, walked to Victor's office. His door was half open. He looked up, eyes full of fake surprise. "Angela, just about to loop you in." "Don't bother," I said. "I know this looks abrupt," he began, "but Claire's got a fresh perspective. She's got a real instinct for—" I cut him off. "You mean she's related to you?" He frowned. "This isn't personal." "It never is," I said. "Until it is." He opened his mouth, but I turned and walked out. Not just of his office, out of the building, because I had already made up my mind. I wasn't going to beg for recognition from people who had proven they'd never give it. I was going to take what I built and walk away. And when I did, they'd realize I wasn't just a name on a slide. I was the entire engine. The morning after I walked out, my phone buzzed nonstop. 3 voicemails from Victor, 2 emails from HR, 1 message from Claire that I didn't even open, but none of them were the ones I cared about. I was waiting for the clients. By noon, the first email came in. Subject: Quick call? It was from Daniel Price, VP of Procurement at one of the largest accounts I'd ever landed. A deal I'd spent 6 months nurturing from cold pitch to contract. I called him immediately. "Angela," he said, no pleasantries. "I just got an email from someone named Claire trying to transition our relationship. What the hell is going on?" I took a breath. "She's Victor's niece. He's replacing me." Daniel snorted. "She sent a PDF of your last quarterly forecast and called it a proposal." I smiled tightly. I figured something like that might happen. "Are you still with the firm?" he asked. I paused. Then I said it out loud for the first time. "No, not anymore." Silence on the line. "Good," Daniel said finally, "because that company doesn't deserve you. You've always been the only reason we stayed. Wherever you land next, count us in." I blinked. "You'd leave the contract?" "We'll wait out the term and follow you. Don't let them tell you the relationships belong to the company. They belong to the person who built them." That night, I opened a new document on my laptop. Business plan. A. Rowe Consulting. The idea had lived in my mind for years. Quiet, safe, buried under loyalty and long hours. But now it roared to life. I stayed up until 3 a.m., mapping everything. Core services, tiered packages, non-compete clauses to avoid clients I knew would walk if I left. By the end of the week, I had my LLC registered, a logo mocked up, and a fresh Gmail account. And the best part? Clients were already calling. Within the first month, I had 5 confirmed accounts. 2 of them left Victor's firm completely. The others asked that I be contracted independently through their companies. No middleman, no niece, just me. I kept things lean, no fancy office, just a clean home workspace, solid Wi-Fi, and a calendar that finally belonged to me. Every email I sent had one message under my signature, built on results, not relatives. One afternoon, I ran into Claire at a networking brunch. She wore the same smug smile Victor always had, except she hadn't earned it. "Oh, Angela," she said brightly. "Didn't expect to see you here. Didn't expect to be invited," I said. "But I guess word gets around." She tilted her head. "Still freelancing? Still closing." Her smile wavered. "I heard a few of my clients have gone quiet lately," she said, stirring her iced coffee. "They were never yours," I said. "They were people I built trust with over years of work, not wine and nepotism." She blinked. I finished my coffee and stood to leave. "You should really get that PDF updated," I said on my way out. "It's missing about 85% of the value." Back at home, I reviewed my new quarterly numbers. I hadn't just matched my old revenue, I had doubled it. And for the first time in my career, I wasn't waiting for permission to lead. I was the leadership. I had built the revenue, I had earned the trust, I had made the impact. And now, I owned it. All of it. The launch party wasn't supposed to be grand. I'd rented a modest space in a renovated warehouse downtown, exposed brick, twinkle lights, and a food truck parked outside serving sliders and street corn. Nothing flashy, just good vibes and real people. The kind of people who built businesses from the ground up, like I had. By 7, the place was buzzing. Clients mingled with consultants. Former colleagues stopped by, some quietly expressing how much they wished they'd walked out with me. There was music, laughter, and the unmistakable sense that something important had started here. Then I saw him, Victor. He stepped through the open double doors like he owned the air around him. Crisp navy suit, gold tie. That familiar smirk barely stretched across his face. At first, I thought he might be there by mistake, until I saw him scan the room, eyes pausing on the sign above the welcome table. A-Row Consulting, launch and legacy night. And then his gaze landed on me. I didn't flinch. I didn't even fake a smile. Instead, I walked to the check-in table, picked up a generic badge labeled guest, and approached him calmly. He raised his eyebrows like he was ready to charm his way in. I handed him the badge. "No titles tonight," I said. "You're just a visitor here." He took it with a tight nod. "Impressive turnout," he muttered. I nodded. Real results tend to draw real people. He scanned the room again, his eyes narrowing as he spotted at least 3 former clients now deep in conversation with my team. His team, once. "You've made quite the impression," he said. "Even Daniel Price jumped ship." I tilted my head. "Daniel came to me. Most of them did." Victor exhaled slowly. "We had a good thing, Angela." "You had a good employee," I corrected. "One you didn't value." "You have to admit," he said. "It's a bit bold. Launching this right in our backyard." I smiled. "You should have thought of that before you gave my seat away to someone who couldn't spell pipeline." He laughed, humorless. "Claire's learning. Your clients aren't interested in being someone's lesson." He didn't respond. Instead, he looked around the room one more time, as if realizing just how many people had followed me. "Still," he said quietly, "I didn't think you'd pull this off so fast." "You built ceilings," I said. "I built a door." And I walked away. Later that evening, as the crowd thinned and the playlist faded into softer tracks, I saw Victor still standing near the dessert table, now clearly alone. I approached him one last time. "Thanks for coming," I said. He looked at me, half smiling. "You proved your point." "That wasn't the point." He raised an eyebrow. "This," I gestured to the room, "was never about proving you wrong. It was about proving myself right." Victor looked like he wanted to say something more, but he just gave a short nod and slipped out the door. No applause. No scene. Just a man realizing the machine he ran wasn't the engine after all. I was. When the last guest left, I stood in the middle of the room, lights dimmed, empty wine glasses scattered across cocktail tables. Jason, my new assistant, came up beside me. "You okay?" "I'm better than okay," I said. "Think he'll try to poach anyone back?" "Let him try," I said, smiling. "They're here for the vision, not the paycheck." He laughed, and we started packing up. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I was deep in a strategy session with a startup client when my phone buzzed on silent. Claire Madison. I stared at the name for a second. I hadn't heard from her since the day she smiled at me across a gala floor, smug in sequins and nepotism. Now she was calling? I let it go to voicemail. When I checked the message later, her voice cracked with something I didn't expect. Hesitation. Hey, Angela, it's Claire. I could really use some advice. Things at Lang & Co. aren't exactly smooth right now. I think I might be in over my head. If you're willing to talk, I'd appreciate it. I didn't respond right away. I thought about it all weekend. I wasn't petty by nature. But I'd be lying if I said the image of Claire drowning in the role she was handed on a silver platter didn't stir a little satisfaction in me. Still, she reached out. And I'd spent too much of my life being silenced to now silence someone else who was finally asking for help. So I emailed her. Subject: Next steps. Hi Claire, thanks for reaching out. I appreciate your honesty. Attached is a document that might help you clarify where you're headed next. Best, Angela Rowe. The attachment? A job application. To my company. A real one. With a form, a list of questions, and a short blurb that read, "We believe growth starts with humility and real-world results. We don't hire titles, we hire traction." I didn't think she'd respond, but 3 days later, I got another message. Read the packet, answered every question. Would still like to talk if you're open. I agreed to a meeting. Claire walked into my office 10 minutes early. No glitter, no smugness, just a blazer, a notebook, and a quiet kind of awareness I hadn't seen on her before. She sat down across from me, clasping her hands. "Thank you for seeing me." I nodded. "Why now?" She took a breath. "Because I thought I could fake it. Smile through it. Let the Lang name carry me. But clients stopped returning calls. Team leads ignore my feedback. And your name keeps coming up like a shadow I can't shake." "That's because it's not a shadow," I said. "It's the foundation you stepped on to get your seat." She looked down. "I know. And I was wrong. I thought I could just fit into it." I studied her. "I'm not interested in fixing Lang & Cohen," I said. "I'm not either," she replied. "I want to learn." "Actually learn?" I slid her application across the desk. "Then start here." She blinked. "You're serious?" "I don't waste my time with jokes." Her eyes widened. "What's the role?" "Entry-level client strategy. You'll work under a team lead. You'll take notes, run numbers, build decks. If you last 3 months, we'll talk next steps." Claire nodded. "I'll take it." "And one more thing," I said. "No one here calls me Angela. They call me Ms. Rowe." She smirked. "Understood." It wasn't personal. It was policy. I'd built a space where merit mattered more than last names, where people grew by doing the work, not by holding the connections. And Claire? She showed up. On time. Prepared. Quiet at first, but curious. Eager. She took feedback without flinching, asked questions no one expected, and over time, she earned the trust of a team who had once rolled their eyes at her name. She still had a long way to go, but now, she was walking it with purpose. Not favor, not shortcuts. Just the path every real professional walks, step by step. When the invitation came, I laughed out loud. The same annual client gala where Victor had paraded Claire across the ballroom floor, where I'd been erased from my own success, was now asking me to speak. Keynote speaker, the email read. A story of resilience, growth, and innovation in leadership. I considered ignoring it. Then I considered declining with a poetic one-liner, something like book someone whose uncle signs the checks. But instead, I said yes. Not for revenge, for clarity. The room looked exactly the same. Gold accents, crisp linens, a podium trimmed in roses. But this time I wasn't seated at the back of the room. I was walking to the front. My name was printed in bold on the event program. Angela Rowe, founder, A. Rowe Consulting. No footnotes, no asterisks, no mentions of former employers. Just me. I stood behind the mic and looked out at a sea of polished suits and practiced smiles. And then I told the truth. I led 85% of our sales one quarter. I began. And then I watched my work handed to someone else, not because I lacked skill or results or commitment, but because I didn't share a last name. You could feel the air shift. I didn't name Victor. Didn't need to. I walked out of that ballroom wondering if I was worth more than the seat they wouldn't give me. And then I remembered. Tables can be built. Chairs can be carved. Rooms can be opened. I told them how I started over. How clients followed not because I demanded loyalty, but because I delivered trust. How leadership isn't inherited, it's earned. Results don't come from who you know, I said. They come from what you build when no one's watching, and how you show up when everyone is. Some people stared down at their plates. Others locked eyes with me, nodding quietly. At the back of the room, I saw Victor, expression unreadable. And next to him, Claire, standing straight, still, listening. When I finished, the applause wasn't thunderous. It was steady, intentional, earned. Afterward, people approached with business cards, compliments, even quiet confessions. I've been through something like that. Thank you for saying what so many of us feel. Can I bring you in to train our team? Victor didn't say a word. Claire, however, approached me alone as I sipped club soda near the window. You told the truth, she said. I did. You didn't have to. I did. She nodded. I'm learning. I know, I said. Keep going. I left the gala that night with no bitterness. No need to replay the past. Because I'd done what I came to do. I'd spoken the truth in the room where it had once been swallowed. And more than that, I'd proven to myself that I didn't just survive that chapter. I rewrote it, on my terms. The next morning, I walked into Margot's table. Yes, the bakery that once saved a neighbor's fundraiser, now part of a shared office building I helped develop for women-owned businesses. Jason handed me a cinnamon roll and grinned. Heard the speech made some people sweat. I wasn't there to make them sweat, I said. He raised an eyebrow. Okay, maybe just a little. We laughed, and I sat down at my desk with a warm pastry, a full calendar, and not a single ounce of regret. Because the story they tried to write for me ended at that gala. And the one I told, that was the beginning of everything else.